Part of the challenge is that we need leaders to lead us into a church that we are not yet. And so we're looking for people who have a vision for the horizon of what could be. And so in addition to having a solid faith and an ability to articulate a passion for their own personal love of Christ and their love for the people of God, we need leaders who know how to establish and build and shape Christian community, and not just walk into a community already established, but to actually help create community in places where we are not yet fully present.
Christianity is not just receiving grace, but Christianity is responding to grace. So I think that if we have a whole community of leaders, that makes a huge difference. To be able to recognize that God is calling us to embrace this mission to the world.
That church is not simply a convenient place to do activism, but rather that it's the fact of the God who becomes incarnate in Jesus Christ that demands of us a particular kind of immersion and engagement with all people, that demands that we oppose racism, that demands that we include people of all identities in the church, and that demands that we not only reflect in the life of the church, but also seek to work with others outside the church to bring about a more just and sustainable society.
So how can we work together to make sure that the process and the access to jobs and funding of seminary education is colorblind and genderblind, so that we can raise up the best leadership and deploy them in the areas that the church needs them in and really that they want to work in.
The last thing we need are people that just are able to say the right words because they've memorized them. What we need what we need in our leaders is we need people who actually know what they're talking about, who walk the walk as well as talk the talk.
And what are we doing to prepare the church to minister to Latinos, Asians, and Blacks? We're clearly the fastest growing segment of this country. And so recruitment is essential. And people say we need, but that's all I hear is we need. But what are we doing to recruit people?
We need dynamic, articulate, creative leaders with vision who can make this message compelling. That was true in the earliest centuries and decades of the Jesus movement, and it's still true.
If we think about anybody that can tell you what the church will be in 10 years, you should not believe, because I don't think anybody knows. And that's the kind of leader we need now, somebody that can live in that ambiguity. So I'm looking for people that can live in that and can help form what might happen, but when we don't know what it is. So it's really adaptability is very important right now.
And the Episcopal Church needs to identify more Latino candidates, and Latino also means people of Latino descent that are bilingual, as well as English-speaking seminarians that are fully culturally and linguistically bilingual, which means that they don't just know the language, they really know the culture, the sabor, the taste of being in a community, and lifting up folks like that.
So the most important thing for leaders to be able to do is ask the question and help the community answer the question, what is God up to in the world today? And how are we invited to be part of that mission of God, that action of God in the world? That's different than saying, who do we need to keep the church in business? It's not the church question anymore. It's God's mission as the baseline.
We have a group of people that are desperately searching for something in their life. They classify themselves as spiritual. Unless we can translate that into there's something more than just walking around and saying I'm spiritual. There's a depth to it. There's a practice to it. Unless we can raise leaders that can translate that in today's culture, we're lost.